So there's a lot of different reasons that flexibility is good. There's personal reasons, family reasons, but there definitely is a very strong business case. So they were a good example of rapid early growth in an accountancy firm. So they were good at what they did. They had a reputation for doing it well. It's a very technical job. So for the first 15 years, 10, 15 years, they were really successful. But they got to a point where people were working 50 hours a week. They were in the office for at least 10 hours a day, and people weren't very happy. They were still doing fairly good work. The clients were relatively happy. They were expanding their market share. They were expanding all over the US. They've done fairly well in Europe. But they got to the point where they had to save some money or find some money from somewhere else. And I think it went from that decision to we've kind of reached the amount of work we can do at this stage. So we need to do better, but we can't just do it by getting more clients because we're losing people. We can't find enough people now that we have a couple thousand employees. So we need to find a way to keep the best people and then attract the best people as well. They completely changed their kind of work environment from being a 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or overtime type office to saying we're going to measure you exclusively on performance. So we're not just going to look at how many hours you are here today. We're going to look at number of cases, client satisfaction, but we're going to let you work in the exact way you want to with some discussion with your teams, with your group, with a specific organization, or the company location. But within that framework, we're just measuring your performance based on what you do, what your output is. And so it took them a few years to put that process in place. And one of the important things was they had a very good structure, and they had a very good type of employment that meant you could measure performance. So long-term commitment to the organization from 56% to 87%. People saying it's a great place to work increased from 67 to 92. And that's with that kind of freedom and flexibility. So people could work from home some days, they could drop their kids off at school, they could take them to work, they could take sick days. And as long as it was agreed with their manager, they could take vacation time whenever, as long as they agreed to meet the performance targets. Which is a really important way of doing it, because then you've still got that structure if you're taking your work home, or if you're taking it on vacation, or if you're taking limited hours or whatever, then you've still got that really clear structure and that framework to say, okay, here's what I need to have done the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year. And then this was a really important one too. So they reduced their employee turnover to 10%. The industry average in that industry for kind of financial services is about 20 to 30. So we figured that reduction, that comparison with industry standards saved them about $3.5 million a year. And they were making about $200 to $300 million. So that's a huge, huge savings just in retention. And especially because it's a highly skilled, highly trained kind of industry, the more expensive people are to hire, to train, to onboard, the more you're going to save from retaining people. So it's not just abandoning people to go home or sending them off kind of somewhere exotic to do their work. It's making sure that the managers understand, the managers are on board, and it's part of a general cultural change that is saying, as long as you get your work done, we're going to let you talk about how you want to do it and do it in your own way, in your own time. So without those kind of supports and without that kind of capacity to help people understand how to manage their time at home, how to manage that change, and what the performance standards need to be, then it won't work. You need that structure as well. It does show how flexible working increases work engagement, it increases productivity, it increases profitability, and that's assuming it's done well.